with me when I tell you it's enough to make a pastor throw up her hands in despair. Jesus wants us to put the needs of the other person first. That's the bottom line. And it's as simple as that. Put the needs of the other guy first. Now there's a t-shirt slogan for you. What would it look like if we put the needs of another person before ours, before something that we wanted? Well, I can think of one example from right here at Faith. Really recently, we put the needs of our youth before some of our other needs, and we made a designated youth space. I've been in this congregation 7 years. I've heard it talked about for 7 years, and this is the year that it happened. And yes, we need the space for other things. We need space here. It's a great problem to have. But the fact is, our leadership said, no, we're going to put the needs of the kids first, and we're going to give them their own space. Now, can't you just hear Jesus saying, now that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That's what putting someone else's needs first goes. Some of you, although you're beyond busy, will take some of your precious time and attend this information session today, or maybe the one Wednesday night, because maybe you can squeak out 2 hours a month or so to help people in need, to help do phone calling or filing or sitting with someone. Some of you will attend that information session besides your busyness, thereby putting the needs of somebody else first. And I'm proud to say that the little congregation at Emmanuel is having a huge fundraising drive during Lent, during the whole season of Lent, to raise money for the ELCA Malaria Initiative. You've had someone come and talk to your congregation about that, and it's such a worthwhile focus to eradicate malaria in our lifetime. And at Emmanuel, we are taking that seriously, and we are putting the needs for those people before our own. And I think you know that the congregation at Emmanuel, while not poverty-stricken, are not wealthy people. They are farmers and retirees and blue-collar workers. And yet I suspect that those 30 or so folks, if we can keep the focus in front of them, will raise well over $1,000 for that initiative. I told them the goal is $800 for that congregation, but I won't be happy with anything less than $1,000. They won't do it because I want them to. Get that clearly in your brain. They'll do it because Jesus wants them to. And because Jesus wants them to put the other guy first. And I hear your brains. I can feel it. I'm getting good at ESP. But Pastor, it's too hard. Loving enemies, putting aside my desires, thinking of somebody besides me, it's just too hard. Where's the good news in this passage? I get that. It is difficult to follow Jesus. This Christianity, it isn't for wimps, that's for sure. And after the first service, somebody came up to me and said, there's the t-shirt slogan, Christianity, it ain't for wimps. So that, you might see me in that next time you see me. We can't manage. We can't do it. It's too hard to follow Jesus. Except, as I told the kids, that we don't have to do it on our own strength. One ancient Christian teacher said when he was talking about this passage, we are called here to love as God loves. This can't be done out of our own resources, so it's not an admonition to try harder. If it was, it would be a recipe for despair. This is a plan of action, rooted in the promise to be made children of your Father in heaven. The sermon here and elsewhere is a portrait of the very heart of God, the one who loves the unlovable, comes among us as Christ, suffers our worst, and rises to forgive us. So, we are called to turn the cheek, give the cloak, go the extra mile, and love our enemies, because that's what God would do, and that's how God loves. Now, there's a new movie just out called Heaven's Rain. Have any of you heard of it? It's not going to be in regular theaters. It's a privately made movie, and it tells the true story, a huge story of forgiving enemies, which is what I'm going to talk about for a minute. It's a true story of a family of missionaries who lived in the rainforest of Brazil. They had a boy and a girl, and when the kids were about 10 and 8, he got transferred back to be a missionary in Oklahoma. They loved Brazil, they loved the natives, they were doing great, but he followed the call, and he faithfully went to Oklahoma. And when their son was 16 and their daughter was 12, They had a knock on the door one night, opened the door, and 2 young men high on drugs and alcohol came into the house, beat all 4 of them, tied up the parents and the son, and took the daughter upstairs and did terrible things to her, and then shot them all and left them for dead. The mom and the dad died. The son and the daughter made it, but because of the huge medical bills, they had 0 resources. And this movie, Heaven's Rain, is a story of how this young man came to forgive his enemy. Because before the one guy who was a perpetrator was punished, he actually came to him face to face and forgave him. Now, if anybody had a right not to love their enemies, it was that family. And I'm hoping and praying that we can bring Heaven's Rain here to Faith and open it to the community. It's a wonderful story of forgiveness. It's very costly, so pray with me that we find the resources to do that. But what a great witness to the community, and in fact to each of us who need to hear those words of forgiveness and that call to forgive. I know it isn't easy, and I know it isn't fair. And believe me, I am not telling you to do it. But Jesus is. So, don't shoot the messenger, Jesus is. And as we go into this holiest season of Lent, which is coming up really soon, it's a perfect time to focus on these things, probably why they're in the common lectionary. A time to put away worldly ways and draw closer to God. And really, there's no better way to do that than to learn to love our enemies, or at the very least, to learn to pray for them. If we can't go all the way to love, we can at least sincerely pray for them, even if it's an angry prayer. We need to put the needs of the other guy first. I'm not saying it will be easy, but as a t-shirt might say, the results, priceless. Amen.